Welcome back, and welcome to the third episode of my home garage addition build. We are adding a 700 square foot garage, covered porch, and finishing out some space upstairs as part of this project. In the last few episodes, we looked at the planning phase of things and the architectural drawings, and also the site prep and the concrete work. In this video, we're going to focus on the framing. The addition as it sits right now is pretty much framed up, and this video covers that process essentially start to finish. There is a lot of work to still do, but I would say 90 to 95% of the framing is done. We're just working through the finishing touches now. I'm going to split these videos up. So this one is going to show the bulk of the framing, and the roofing and a lot of the finishing items will come in a future episode. So let's jump right in to the start of the framing on this project. So you can see the crews hard at work here getting everything laid out to start the framing on the garage. You can see on that outside wall they framed out a window. So we have two windows on that side, one on the first story and one on the second story. Both those windows are roughly 3.5 feet wide by 4.5 feet long. And nearing the end of day one, here they pretty much have all the walls of the garage up, and they start putting on the I-beams to hold up the second story. So here are a few clips of me walking around after day one of framing. Again, we have a structure. It's crazy how fast these things go up. Now we are on to day two. You can see them putting up the header boards on the large garage door on the right side there, and then they move to the rest of the I-beam joists. And they start putting on our subfloor as well. This was a pretty pretty cool process to watch. But once they had the bulk of the subfloor in, they started building scaffolding with 2x4 that you can see there in the upper right corner. And they used this scaffolding to get the big ridge beam at the top of the peak in its place. So they essentially built this and walked on this to hoist up the ridge beam. Alright, nearing the end of day 2 here, you can see them hoisting up that ridge beam. It gets a little bit cut off, but I walked around after day 2 and took some clips so you can see the ridge beam in place there with a few rafters holding it up. Here's another angle, so the thing is really taking shape. You can see the 2 garage bays there, the 16-foot door and the 8-foot door. And here is a few more shots of the backside. They put that tarp in place because they did start working to take the existing roof down. And here, although it's nighttime, here are some shots of the inside of the garage with the roof in place now. Alright, moving on to day 3 of framing. Lots of rafters being installed very quickly. So the roof obviously taking shape very quickly in this time lapse. You can see on the far wall there, at the end closest to that dirt pile, they're framing out the outside wall. There's a window there similar to the bottom, so we basically have a window centered, both top and bottom on that side of the garage. And then you can see them installing the sheathing as well. Happening at the right side, opposite of that wall, they are working on opening up the existing roof to mate the new upstairs garage space to the existing house's upstairs garage space. So it's hard to see that off camera. I did not capture a time lapse there, but in this clip you can see them starting to open things up. So that daylight is the workers beginning to essentially merge the 2 spaces together. And here's a quick shot of what that looks like once they peeled the existing roofing off. And then right before the end of day 2, they start putting on some sheathing on the roof. So that wraps up day 3. I had to take off a little bit early on day 3, so I didn't get clips of it finished, but I did take some clips about 2/3 of the way through the day, and those are what you see here. On to day 4. This is where things really started to take shape. So you can see the crew here finishing out all the sheathing on the roof. Again, off camera, they're also finishing out merging the 2 roof lines together between the new garage space and the old garage space. And then you can also see them starting here on our covered porch. So that's the beam that you see them putting in place here is the start of the structure for the covered porch, and that comes together very quickly on this time lapse. You can see them getting all the rafters in place for the covered porch. And then once the rafters are all in place, they work on the sheathing and get that all finished up for the covered porch space as well. So at the end of day 4, we pretty much had a completed structure. Here are some clips of the inside space. It ended up being much bigger than we thought it would. We originally thought they would overframe the new garage space onto the old garage space, and we'd essentially just have a door that goes through, but they ended up opening this up all into one big space. I'll talk more about that in a future video in terms of how we're going to handle that. And here are some shots outside. They put a tarp up to help prevent water getting in until they completely finished the sheathing and roofing. Here are some more clips of the inside space. Again, the new garage space is about 22 by 32. And finally to the back side. You can get a good feeling of what the porch will look like. They just have this on temporary supports, but you can see the 6x6s laying there. Those will eventually be the decorative posts that will hold the covered porch up. That's going to wrap it up for the framing. There are going to be lots of videos left in this series. Super excited to get this project going. Like and comment if you guys enjoyed and if you have any questions. Really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of this series.